What's up, everybody? It's Bear with BearIndependent.com here for Survival Dispatch. Thank you to Survival Dispatch for allowing yet another bearded survivalist into your presence. Mucho apreciado, as they hablan in the Espanol. Listen, many folks out there specifically that live in areas like this, and several that don't, but perhaps fantasize about living in areas like this, have this idea that they are going to hunt, fish, trap, scavenge, forage their way to prosperity when the world ends, man. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit this morning, discussing provision tactics. In a nutshell, nope. Throughout history, yes, people, humanity has been engaged in hunting, fishing, trapping, scavenging, foraging, and it has worked to a large degree. But I would submit that if we could do that, we would be doing that. And perhaps you could do that for a length of time, but it's not long-term sustainable. Your availability and the availability of what you hunt are precious resources. They may become scarcer during trying times. Your time is valuable. There's a reason why there was a population explosion when we went from hunter-gatherers to agriculturalists. And I know this isn't necessarily a popular opinion, and I like hunting whitetail and grilling backstraps along with everybody else, man. I'm into that. I'll tell you something. There's something nice about sheep, though. They don't run away. And if they do, they run to the corner of the fence. Not very sportsmanlike, but very predictable when it comes to harvesting calories. So rather than hunting, fishing, trapping, scavenging, foraging our way through end times, let's take a little bit of preparation here, a little bit of personal responsibility. So first and foremost, dry stores are king of the calories. You should be able to get the bulk of your caloric needs from your dried goods. Staples like rice, wheat, corn, beans, dried pasta, etc. So I've discussed myriad times on our channel, Bear Independent, on YouTube and Patreon, what those numbers actually look like. I recommend 750 pounds per person per year of dried grains. 4 types. I know, don't be scared of the numbers. Just listen. It's actually much easier than you might think that it is, and much less costly than you might think that it is. 4 kinds: corn, rice, wheat, and beans. They all have different macronutrients, but they're all about 1,600 calories per pound. When you do the math, it's 750 pounds per person per year. That works out to roughly 3,277.18 calories per person per day. Interestingly, almost like it was a coincidence or something that I came up with this number, the number of calories that a human needs, military-aged male, between the ages of 16 and 35 years old, when engaged in strenuous activity to not lose muscle mass, is 3,200 calories per day. Very similar to 3,277.18 calories per day. And the 0.18, you just decide on Tuesdays you get 1 extra grain of rice, on Wednesdays you don't. You just back and forth that 1 grain of rice, and that's how you get the 0.18. Yeah, I'm joking. The point here is, just those 4 grains, while boring, while not sexy at all, will keep you from starving to death, and they're cheap. Corn, rice, wheat, and beans. Rice, self-explanatory. Beans, get what you like. Pintos are readily available. Corn, feed store corn. Yes, you can buy the organic stuff that was blessed by the Dalai Lama for 197 pounds for a $4 or a 4-pound sack of it, but why? The shipping from the Himalayas is exorbitant. Feed corn from the feed store. Yes, it'll be okay. You treat it like any other grain. Not deer corn. Deer corn is bottom of the barrel, literally. Feed corn. Perhaps if a large variety of your calories is coming from corn and corn sources, you should investigate nixtamalization, which is a big word. I didn't make it up. Nixtimalatization ? Nixtamalization. And that essentially is the process of turning corn into masa, which frees up the B vitamins, which means that you don't get pellagra and poop yourself to death. But that's only if a majority of your calories are coming from corn. For most of us North American people, not going to be an issue. All right. Wheat. You get wheat. Just get wheat berries. Not inoculated wheat berries. That's for planting. Just wheat berries. Preferably hard red winter wheat. Soft wheat will work as well, but there's less gluten in it. So you're talking more like muffins and cakes with soft wheat rather than like breads and rolls with hard wheat. Okay. Got something in my eyeball. Moving right along. Corn, rice, wheat, and beans. The 4 types. If you can't find wheat where you are, get 250 pounds of corn and rice and beans. If you can't find corn, 250 pounds of wheat and rice and beans. Whatever. Okay? The 4 types of grains. You put them in buckets. 5-gallon buckets, Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, and I prefer diatomaceous earth in with my grains as well. That way, if you don't have the ability to freeze your grains for 3 days before you bucket them, the DE will do the job that the freezing would have done. And we have videos on all of this in the Prepper Classroom playlist at Bear Independent YouTube channel. So, the 4 grains, okay? Next, for long-term, for flavor, and for nutrition, you need your own food in the ground and preferably also on the hoof. I know this scares people, but it shouldn't. Gardening and raising livestock is the way of the world, has been the way of the world for a long time. In fact, whether you like it or not right now, you are participatory in gardening and raising of livestock. You've just farmed it out to the guy that puts the piece of meat on the styrofoam thing that you buy it at the grocery store on. Okay, you're still part of that system. You're just engaged in the big factory farming, concentrated animal feeding operations, factory gardening, row cropping, monoculture system, rather than the personal responsibility, raising it, butchering it, eating it ourselves type of system. Okay. So you can do this on 1/3 of an acre. I've done it on 1/3 of an acre. And so don't be discouraged. We offset 40% of our grocery bill in North Texas, in the suburbs, in our backyard with meat rabbits, meat birds, laying hens, 11 raised beds, a small patch of row crops, some berry bushes. It can be done. 40% of a family of 5. We took our grocery bill, real numbers, from $300 every time we went to the grocery store to $180 every time we went to the grocery store. Those rabbits produced about 200 pounds of meat per year. We're getting 6 eggs a day off of the chickens, 6 laying hens. Not that much. Put 10 meat birds in a little tiny chicken tractor in my backyard, and I would drag it around and move it every day. Slaughtered those things, 25 pounds of chicken. Boom, good to go. And the next, and the next, and the next. And so it can be done where you're at. And I would submit that it's not necessarily a good long-term strategy to spend the eternity of without rule of law, SHTF, the end of the world as we know it, man, in the suburbs. However, you should learn how to do these things now, because sooner or later you may end up out here in a place like this and knowing how to butcher a chicken, or knowing how to pluck a bean off the vine and then shell it, or knowing how you need to amend soil for acidity so that you can plant some berries, are all good things to know. Regardless of how big your the size of your lot is, though, whether you got 1/3 of an acre, 2 acres, or 200 acres, you will run into diminishing returns. And so part of this is understanding, what do you want your yield to actually look like? How much food are you going to need? So our 4 grains, stopgap measure to get us to food production. I'm also a really big fan, and I'll add this anecdotally, of the 7 meals plan. 7 meals plan, and there was some Mormon lady on a YouTube video, I guess LDS is how y'all refer to yourselves now, no offense intended at all, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, one of their congregants shot a video years ago talking about the meal plan, meal preparedness plan that she used, and it was 7 meals. And I latched on to that. So give credit where credit is due. It's awesome. So determine 7 meals that you can dump in a pot and heat up that you can have on a pantry shelf somewhere and get a year's worth of that canned goods. You don't have to go out and buy it one time, but you buy a little bit at a time every time you go to the store. And the next thing you know, you've got a year's worth of canned goods that you can heat up, and you can dump that chili that you just dumped out of a can into the pot on top of the rice that you have with a little bit of beans in it, and grind some of that corn for cornbread, and now you've got a meal. Okay. Getting back to agriculture. The thing with agriculture is that it's entirely possible for you to do it yourself, but getting back to diminishing returns, many hands make light work. The more people you have to help you, up to a point, you know, Dunbar's number is 150. I don't think any of us are rolling around with a crew of 150, but if you are, good for you. That's one hell of a survival crew. If you are, you're gonna need a lot of food to feed those people. What's that? 125,000 pounds of grain. That's all you need if there's 150 of you. No big deal. Maths. You need people to work the land. You also need people to secure the land that is being worked from the marauders in the pickup trucks who are going to come and take everything that you have. No, we get a say in the matter as well. And interestingly enough, people tend to perform the functions of combat better when they're not starving to death, getting back to food. So, to work the land, you will need people. And if you cannot work your own land due to injury or other prohibitive events, you will really, really need people. That's right. If you twist an ankle, you're definitely not going to get out there and weed the garden or milk the cow or feed the sheep, right? We here have several different gardens, 6, I believe. And we're constantly up in each other's gardens, helping each other. We're constantly helping each other fix fence. We're constantly trading animals back and forth, tending each other's animals. You know, and we don't live in a kumbaya, my lord, sitting around the fire, strumming acoustic guitars, holding hands, wearing Birkenstocks and hemp ponchos kind of community. We're us. So, community can look like whatever you want it to look like. If you don't like the word community, that's fine. Go with team. Go with MAG, Mutual Assistance Group. Go with your community watch or whatever. Okay, you can put whatever label you want on it. You need people to assist you. And while my name and my channel might be Bear Independent, it's not Bear Solo. It could as easily be Bear Interdependent. I'm independent of the system to the best of my ability, but not independent of people. And so, can you hunt, fish, trap, scavenge, forage? Yes. Should you bet your life on it? I would submit no. I think you can augment your dry stores, your canned goods, and your personal or community agriculture by hunting, fishing, trapping, scavenging, foraging. But I would not bet my life or the life of my children or the life of my wife or the lives of my best friends and loved ones on my ability to provide calories in such a way as hunting, fishing, trapping, scavenging, foraging. So, first of all, dry stores, stack it to the rafters, baby. Food from your land, then community, and then hunting, fishing, trapping, scavenging, foraging. Thank you, Survival Dispatch. I hope you all found some nuggets in here. Share this with people that you love. Go check out survivaldispatch.com. And if you'd like to see more of me and our channel, we're at Bear Independent on YouTube, Patreon, and the interwebs. Shalom.